Hello again. Well, I caught a little bit of Fox this morning and heard Donald being interviewed by the Talking Heads. And they were asking him about Iowa. And they wanted to know what he thought would happen in Iowa as to whether or not he or Teddy might be in the lead. And Donald said that well, he was very pleased to have received the endorsements that he did. He received an endorsement from Sarah Palin. He also received an endorsement from John Wayne's daughter. And he said what's interesting is that the governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad, who, according to what was said, is the longest serving governor in any state. Well, the governor just endorsed the Donald. That's a good sign. One of the reasons that he thinks that Teddy might have hurt himself in Iowa is Teddy's against ethanol. And as you may or may not know, Iowa grows a great deal of corn, which is a product that's used for the manufacture of ethanol. The other thing that was interesting is that Donald was told by the Talking Heads that the governor from Ohio, Kasich, is doing okay. And Donald said he heard the same thing, and he said he wishes him well. He said Kasich and him have sort of gone back and forth. Kasich was very nice to him, then he wasn't so nice to him, and now again he's sort of nice to him. So I guess the Donald is going to be nice to Kasich, as long as Kasich's nice to the Donald. But you know what happens if Kasich turns on the Donald, don't you? What's interesting as well is that there was no mention of Marco. Marco wasn't mentioned in that interview exchange. And as I had said in a couple of my other videos, I think it's just a matter of time before Marco is pushed aside, as he should be. The responsibility for that really should have been by the head of the RNC, Reince Priebus. And the reason that is that neither one of Marco's parents were American citizens. They, I assume, were here legally, but again, I don't know if that's true or not. They came across in '56, and Marco was born in '70, and they became American citizens in '75. So there's really no difference, in my mind, between Marco and an anchor baby. They're both American citizens, but neither one is a natural-born American citizen, according to the Constitution. And I think, although Donald's ignored that to this point, I don't think he's going to. If Ted goes by the wayside, which he should consider running for Prime Minister in Canada, not in the United States. You know, I get attacked constantly in messages from viewers or people that get onto the site saying that, you know, you're wrong, he's natural born. Yeah, he wasn't, I don't believe, a cesarean section, but he's not natural born according to our Constitution. What people have to understand is that in 1970 in Canada, even Canada didn't recognize dual citizenship. Not until 1977 is when they changed their legislation and recognized dual citizenship. But the United States never has recognized dual citizenship. But that's a different story. So, we'll see what happens. Again, Reince Priebus needs to do what Reince Priebus needs to do, which is to make certain that the horses that are in the race are qualified. And I've gone over this countless times. When you have horses running a race and your horse isn't in that race, you're not going to bet on the other horses. And that's what happens to our candidates, which is why we end up having a miserable turnout. I said this in the midterms, and I'll say it again. This is the most important election in our country's history. back in the midterms, I said this is the most important election in our country's history because it was at that time. We're dealing with the Oval Office. And anyone other than a Donald, the country's finished. Hillary is completely insane. And it amazes me that she hasn't been arrested yet or hasn't been charged with countless crimes. Against who? Against the American people. But that's a whole different story. Donald is America's only hope of recovery. Anyone other than Donald, America will cease to exist. That's sort of what I think. And you know why I think what I think. You know what Donald thinks. As I said, Donald was endorsed by Sarah Palin. He was endorsed by John Wayne's daughter. He's endorsed by the governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad. Once again, the longest serving governor in history of our country. That has to have some weight with the citizens in Iowa. You know what I think? You know why I think what I think? Question now is, what do you think?